Hey there, this probably will be my last video. But this is why I believe that gods and angels don't exist anymore. But before I tell you why, now Jesus Christ, right? 1 through 12 years of his life, he was a child, a normal kid. And then he started to travel. Like this is in his biography or what the fuck ever. He started to travel, then he met a yogi. The yogi taught him the ways of life. Then he became Jesus Christ. After some practice, right? But during his practicing, right? When you find, don't you think his actions or the things that he was doing was a bit weird? Like, if he was white, standing out in the sun without sunscreen and shit, like meditating and shit like that. When you find that a bit weird, and that he was in this 20th century, when you just send him to the psych ward, right? That's why I think that angels and gods don't exist anymore. Cause they try to go down the way, and then they get sent to the psych ward. I'm not trying to say I'm a god or whatever, but that same thing happened to me. I was practicing my ways. I know I was having ups and downs, but my family sent me to a psych ward. And before I practiced the third eye, right? They were trying to say a lot of kids really practice this stuff. They get sent to the mental institution. I'm like, why? Now I see why. Because you don't act the same as everyone else that they accept as a normal boy or girl. So when you don't act as the other boy down the street or the other boy in the family or other boy anywhere, you're looked at as something that's not running right. Like you're missing a screw. And the societies that we live in now. So they send you to the mental institution. If they would have had mental institution back in the day, they would have sent Jesus Christ to a mental institution. How do I know? Because I try to follow in his footsteps. And if you thought I was weird, you would think Jesus Christ was weird. And you would send him there too. Period. That's why I think that angels and stuff don't exist. And what I believe was back in the day, we was more in our spiritual self. Because it seemed like we had technology back in the day. But everything that we had was necessary. Like the way we built the pyramid. We just had necessary technology, not really stuff that we didn't need, like PS4s. And then I started doing research. I started figuring out that there are two ways you can play this game, right? This has something to do with sex because sex, right? It make us think sexual things all day. What we prefer, right? It just make us run that way. So when you constantly think about vagina, you think about necessary things, like things that we need to survive. But when you think of the anal, you just be doing shit. Like just doing shit. Literally just doing shit. That's why we have so much stuff now because we just be doing shit. Just doing shit, literally. And where did I get this from? Now look at it. Go look at the stuff that we had back in the day. How everything was just so big and like when you walk into a palace, it just be like a big ass door, like it's shaped like a vagina. Because the vagina has a lot of room. You can put your dick in it. Well, you can put your stuff in it, and then it can have a baby, like a palace. It could just like a big palace. Now we make homes, right? To stuff in all this shit. See where it's kind of relating to like the anus. And with the way that I see it, there's only two ways you can play this game. You can play this game spiritually, or you can play this game physically, right? You probably get which one is spiritual and which one is physically. Well, I'm gonna tell you anyway. The vagina is spiritual because that's when you connect with the female on a higher level. When you put it in a butt, it's just a physical thing. You're just trying to get in and out, basically. And that's kind of what we do now. We die so quick, we just get in and out. We're just living physically. Like, look at all the stuff we have. It's like everything we built is just like so tight. It's so tight. Like, but it was necessary though. Everything was necessary. Like, we had to live this way. But it's the way that we're doing it is wrong. Now, what the people in higher power are currently doing, the way that I see it, they cut spirituality off. It was like a light switch. Spirituality, physical. They just put it to physical, and they start raising us this way. And now anybody who try to practice spirituality is looked at as someone who's breaking the rules and is not living life the way that they expect someone to live life. So when you're not living life the way they expect you to, they see you differently. If they see you too, like it's like a meter to it. And like depending on where you're at the meter, if you're all the way at the top, like really doing shit that's unexplainable, they'll send you to a mental institution. You might think something is wrong with you. But what I don't get, right? You have two types of spiritualists in this world. You got people who take DMT and just get high on mushrooms, like they spiritual, they be seeing shapes and shit. Then you got other people that be remote viewing, be going behind the veil, really doing spiritual stuff. Now I was the person going behind the veil. Like, I used to walk around with my shirt off. People thought I was weird, but I couldn't help it because my shirt would have all this sweat in it because it would be the summertime. And my body will raise to a certain temperature. Like every time I would eat, I think this is why God fasts, because his body temperature would get too hot. Every time I would eat, my body temperature will rise because now it has energy to run off of. So my body just gets so hot, my shirt would be sweating. It'd be sweat everywhere. And I look at everybody else, nobody's not as hot as me. I'd be like, it must be the practices. So I'd walk around with my shirt off. Even with my shirt off, it would be all this sweat. I'd be like, God damn, like sweat everywhere. I'm like, damn, no way you can hide it. But I wasn't taking any drugs like that. All I did was smoke weed. But the crazy thing about it, I didn't need a lot of weed. I just needed some to get my body relaxed. And then I was able to do the impossible. I didn't even need a lot. So I wasn't even that high when I used to practice it. And I used to do a whole lot of stuff. But just that I was too scared to explore it because I would look it up on the internet and nobody would talk about it. They'd be like clairvoyance and shit like that. Use all these fancy words, but come on, can we get to the dumbed down part of it so y'all really like explain it to me? No one can explain it. Cause the thing about it, people would get like high out of their minds and like they seeing shapes and shit like that. I'd be like, what the hell? You're just imagining this shit at this point. Cause I was just at a higher level of it. I'm like, you're supposed to go through that shit and see what's on the other side, basically. That's when you know you got somewhere. And I used to do that stuff. And then my family sent me to a mental institution. Now I can't do those stuff that I used to do anymore. So I just gave up. That's why I'm making this video. I'm like, now I see what happened to gods and angels. Not saying I was a god or an angel, but I could have made a god or angel. I could have been practicing it, then taught somebody like Jesus Christ, then he would have changed millions of lives. Cause I think I was practicing yoga. The same thing Jesus Christ was doing. It even said he was practicing yoga because the real thing, if you go look up what Jesus Christ is really promoting, he was promoting yoga. Right? That's why I think there are no more gods. But let me get to the other side of it. Now, when we was back in the day, I think that we was like really practicing the spirituality part of it We were just using what was necessary. Now, since we turned the game backwards, are playing the game the other way. I can tell you how we've been playing the game the other way. You know why? Because we made condoms. Condoms was only made for one thing. That's to put it in somebody's butt. Period. Period. Let's keep it 100. It's only made for one thing. Just one thing. That's how you know we start playing the game the other way. That's when everything starts getting tight, crammed together. That's how you go to school, you be so like crammed together. That's where they get it from. Just putting all this shit together. How do I know? I just know. I just know. They just put everything together. Like just munch it all together like shit. Like everything's based off the anus. Like everything be so like straight, you know, go back and forth. It don't go left or right. It's everything's go back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. It don't go to the left or to the right. You don't have no space for that. So since we start playing the game the other way, we start exploring the other side of life. I see it as the dark side, the negative side. This is where we start getting all. When you live like this, trapped, it changes the psyche of the person. Because some people have too much energy, and like it just changes them mentally, and it give them problems. Because back in the day, you wasn't really hearing all this stuff. The only thing you heard of was that you had evil people, right? But say that the elites has been alive during those times, because the elites said they have the bloodline of the real human beings. That shows their lifeline, that they always had a part in reality. Just think about it. They always had a part. Since back then, they always had a part. So you don't think that they just sent out this person over there, and we just wrote stories about it like, yo, this guy was just so fucking evil. Where did he come from? Maybe he came from the elites. They were just forging their own future from back then. And after they label like this person was mentally psychotic or shit like that. Like this says, they probably trying to say this stuff been in existence back then, but they probably the ones who created it. The first evil people, you know how evil people trying to turn good and shit like that. That's what they're probably trying to do. Where I'm getting this from, I'm just thinking about it. Just think about it. Because they have the bloodline of the first human being. So if you have the bloodline of the first human being, like Adam and Eve, you have been alive and conscious of that since who knows fucking how long. Like you just ain't studied this a couple hundred years ago. Like, yo, you know you related to Adam and Eve. You know how dumb that sounds? Maybe they just knew about it and they just been forging history since their beginning of time. Just been forging it. Right? And now we're just up to this point where we're at the end of it. And they forged it to the point where they got us all conditioned until this new reality. Which is better for us. Because if you think about it, the more that we expand, the more we lose material. That's why things are fast to produce now. So we can keep up with all the livestock that they have on this planet. Because it's just not enough things for everybody. You know, that's why they have money and stuff. Because they give out all the food for everybody. It won't be nothing to put on the shelves. That's why some people are just hungry. But I know we have a lot of food in our supermarkets, but think about how many people live in that city. If you give a pepper to everybody, you won't have enough pepper for everybody. Let's keep it realistic. Everybody can't make a chicken dinner. Like, some people are gonna go hungry that night. That's when some GMO come in. GMO is a good thing. It's just that what it does to our body is a bad thing. But if we practice more of the physical and like find a cure to the diseases that we have created throughout the improper lifestyle, or we can like turn GMO into a positive thing. Cause if we start like making more mineral stuff, like mineral pills, shit like that, we can live longer. Even though that stuff already existed, it's just that they're not ready to give it to us because they're still studying the physical. Or they just like where they're at now and like ruling. They just want to make it last a little bit longer than it have to. Because once you go back to physical, let me tell you this: once you go back to physical, everybody has a certain ranking. This when you get the goddess of love, the goddess of fighting. Like those people didn't just get those roles; they was born to do those roles. You you have like people that have jobs. Like this is the Matrix. I know you heard that everywhere. People have certain jobs they have here. Some people is the goddess of love, goddess of war, goddess that watch over things. How do I know this stuff? I've seen it. Like I know my spiritual name and everything. That's something they can't take from me, but they probably could. Who might knows what might happen to my body in the future? But they can't take it from me. They can only take my memory, basically. That's it. How do I know this stuff? Because think about it. We all have jobs. I've seen it. Like I have went back there, and I was the only person back there. And when I last time I went back there, I seen like 3 other people just using it. I was watching them, and that was my job. Like I watch over things. It don't sound realistic. It's not. That's just all I do. I guess when people started to use it that day, I just watched over them. Like people really started using that shit, and they was really using it. And I'm like, oh shit, who the fuck are these people? That's what I remember. And that time, this made it so different. That time, I was actually dragged back there. Like it wasn't on my calling. Like I didn't do it myself. I wasn't high, nothing. I was asleep. Next thing you know, I started going through the process, and I was back there, and I'm like, people are really using it right now today. Like people was using it, and that was my job. I watch over the stuff, but then you got other people that like clean it, shit like that, like different jobs. Cause I started following my name, and I'm like, oh my god, that's who I'm supposed to be. Wow. And then after I started practicing the Matrix, and that's all the stuff that was coming to me. Like I was doing those stuff that I seen in the stories. I'm like, huh, that's weird. And if we go back to that, they will lose their roles, the one that they obtain now, because then people gonna start following the codes or whatever that they were born to do. And then when that start happening, you can start rebelling because you're like, that's my fucking job. Why is they trying to do what I'm supposed to do? You know. But if you think about it, we have to explore the side though. Like this is the negative side. This is the evil side. This is the demonic side. That's why everything is so demonic. This is the other side. It's the dark side. Because the spiritual side is the light side, the yin yang. Now we're exploring the dark side. We have no choice. It's the only way we can move on as a race. By making PS4s and shit. That's just an example. Like think about all the other stuff we have. GMO, PS4s, all this type of things that transport us, all this unnecessary things like watches and shit like that. Cause back in the day they didn't have watches. That shows that they really wasn't building unnecessary things. Like they had watches, but it was more like a shadow clock. You know? That shows what type of level of technology that they was focused on. They was building things that was necessary. While we just building all this shit. All this unnecessary shit because we're just out here doing shit. Literally just doing shit. Like doing shit. Like just think about it. We're just doing shit. That makes sense to you? Like this is a crazy world we live in. It's just that they're doing this without our permission. They're just doing this. It's like we're just the guinea pigs of it. They don't want to live that lifestyle. They like spirituality. They use it. That's why you keep hearing some story where they keep saying that when they die, they can like go into another body and shit like that. Like the human body does that. That's why it takes like 9 months for a baby to actually form, because and you have to take time for somebody to die. Like a baby's pop, like when you just have sex and the baby just pop out, that shows that we don't have souls because there's not enough time for a soul to enter the body. But the baby take 9 months. People die every day, right? That shows that it takes time for the soul, like souls have a chance to enter the body within those 9 months. You know what I'm trying to say? Like it just shows, and they're abusing it. That's why they don't tell us about this stuff, because they tell us, we were just like, look where it's taking us. It's just destroying humanity, but it's not. It's actually fixing it, because back in the day, if you think about it, cancer and stuff really did exist, but it probably happened. It probably happened to some races, like the Caucasian, because the Caucasian can stay in the sun and catch skin cancer. So a form of diseases did exist back in the day, but not to the scale we have it now, because of all the unnecessary stuff that we have built. Now, since we have built all this unnecessary stuff, we have all these diseases. Now we just have to figure out the cure. My point is, back in the day, we didn't have that much diseases. So it was like more the golden ages. Like it wasn't really nothing to cure. So I don't know why people keep saying all these herbs and shit can cure shit. How do you know that's really accurate? How do you know that's like people that's making a joke? Maybe it is. Maybe it's not. But that herbs is growing here. Say you want to move to Mars. Mars probably produce like different types of plants and shit. You're gonna need chemicals. Like chemicals is not a bad thing. Like if you use it properly, it can like change humanity. Cause if you think about it, I know you've seen like a movie where like they had this chemical healing shit, and they'll spray it on their body or pop a pill and they heal everything. That's where we can get chemicals too. We can build up to that and let it heal the whole body, instead of just like finding herbs to heal one certain part of the body. I know I'm just getting off track. I'm just trying to help explain what's going on, because I know what's going on. It has nothing to do like what they trying to cut us off. They are trying to cut us off, but it's for the better. That's why they keep saying that they're helping and shit like that. They are helping, but the way that they're approaching it is wrong. By just like simply not telling us. If they were to tell us, they wouldn't be in control. Like this is all about a game of power, and they just want full control over it, because they know that's why they keep saying God's gonna come back. Well, spirituality is gonna come back. It's gonna change that, because people want to start opening up spiritually. Like, no, that's not your fucking job. You're not supposed to do that. And that people will get put in their place, back in their line. Back in their lane. And that's what they're scared of, because people will war over that shit. They'll fight over that shit, because they be like, you're just here for nothing. Like, for nothing. Like, you want power for nothing. For nothing. And they know this, because they know how they're so intelligent now, that they know how the brain works, and they know how people react to stuff. Just think about it. And back in the day, we really didn't have culture. You know how I know we didn't have culture? Because we all did the same shit. We all had pyramids. We all had Sphinx. I mean, the cats with the fucking human heads and shit was everywhere. Just think about it. We had no culture. Now, since we started exploring the physical, we had to like divide ourselves into Chinese, whites, and Asians. Back in the day, you probably didn't know what the fuck that shit was. We probably like, what planet did that nigga come from? We never seen this white nigga before. You know, we never used to talk like that or think like that. But now we do. Now we have culture and shit like that. We learned that from the dark side. Like, basically, we're just learning the physical. It's a hard thing to learn because it's changing us mentally. Like, it's fucking us up. But it's helping us. Because when we come back, we're going to have something to lie on. Like, we got something to explore when we come back. It's going to completely change the game. It's like they're changing the game. It's a bad thing, but a good thing. All we is, we're just learning the physical. But it's just somebody have to keep control though. That's the thing. Like we have to really learn the physical, and it's the hardest thing to do because the only way you can learn is with guinea pigs. And this stuff right here can just change humanity as we know it. Cause now we have all this unnecessary shit like shoes. Like back in the day, we didn't have shoes. That's how you know we was building things that was necessary. We used our feet, nigga, and walked around. Like we only build shoes now because we built so much shit. Shit just cut us in our feet now. Like bottle caps outside, glass and shit. That wasn't there back in the day. The most that can cut you was a branch. You didn't really need shoes. We only wear shoes now because it's dangerous shit outside on the floor. Keep it 100. If you go outside right now, you'll cut yourself on a piece of glass that's been there like for fucking 10 years. That's why we wear shoes. It has nothing to do with fashion. It's the fact that outside is too polluted. And that's why we wear shoes. We're just learning the physical. Like we just have all this different stuff. Like back in the day, we didn't have shirts. Like the monuments show you we didn't have shirts. Girls how their breasts out and shit. Everything was just so Adam and Eve back in the day. Like they ain't making that up. That's the shit that the monuments and the sculptures that they had showed us. That's how they seen shit. Like everything was so raw back in the day. Just think about it. Man, that's why I think there's no more angels and gods, man. Because we're just learning the physical, and God is on the spiritual. We're not in the spiritual age anymore. Like, it has nothing to do with the earth turning and shit like that. It's the fact that we're just not thinking in that way anymore. We're just not thinking. People get saying you gotta wait 5,000 years for the earth to hit dead. Then we back in the spiritual. What the fuck are you talking about? That just sound like you're just hoping. Like 5,000 years you'd be dead, nigga. You got people doing spiritual work now and just accomplishing shit. That has nothing to do with anything, man. Wait 5,000 years for what? For a gold age? You got me fucked up. Like, I only have like 100 years to live. To fucking wait for 5,000 years? Like, come on. That's like fucking 500 lifetimes. Got me fucked up. Just think about it. We have to learn this stuff. Now look, we have IDs and shit. If we had this stuff back in the day, we would have known it. We would have dug this shit up. Now we lose our fucking civilization and you start digging up, you're gonna find medical cards, IDs, birth certificates, iPhones, PS4s, wigs and shit. And you're gonna be finding all this shit. Back in the day, all you can find was a sword, armor, skeletons, pieces of gold, really shit that was already there. Now you start digging shit, you can find banks, streets, signs, everything that's unnecessary. You're gonna be finding. Well, you're gonna be finding way more than you find in the Egyptian days. That's how you know we're like in a different type of future. Like we're just in a different future. It's necessary though, because the Egyptians didn't go this route. They went to the spiritual route. That's why they keep saying like the Egyptians know what they're doing, but not really, because the Egyptian wanted this to happen, because there was something that they were just missing, and this was it. How do I know? What the fuck are you talking about? They was wearing, they ain't had no shirts, shit like that. Now we're so smarter. How do you know back in the day niggas wasn't getting hard after looking at their titties and ass just all out? You know, getting hard for the kids and shit. Like, so, like, in weird scenarios and places, like, now girls have the chance to cover themselves up. You have a chance to cover yourself up, look the way you want to look, you know, express yourself instead of wearing a fucking sheet over you and shit. A sheet with a fucking gold jewel right here, just keeping the sheet together. You know? Now people have jobs and shit. Everybody not peasants. You don't have to be a fucking knight to only make money in the town and shit. You can be a computer tech and then still do spirituality. It's like we have to learn this side because they give us something to do. Because if you think about it, also like you see how Naruto is, like they telling us how the past was. You see Naruto, Dragon Ball Z. That's how our past was. All we had was magic. And that's all that we used 24/7. That's all we did. Now we have other stuff like Frisbee. So you can use magic, but you can do other shit like Harry Potter. Like you can do other shit. Like play the game. Go outside to dinner. Do all like doing, you could be doing shit like this is the anus come in. There's the other way of life. Like it's how you be just doing shit. Like you can be doing shit now, because back in the day all you had was spirituality. And then you go home, make a kid, and then you make another kid. That's why you had all these orgies in the Bible, because that's all they had to do. They're like, yo, this is the only thing we can do. It's just sex. And the reason why it's like that, I mean, how I know it's like that is because we have done so much shit that the elites and stuff were bored. And what did it result to? Having sex. That's the only thing that's still fun to them. Think about it. So back in the day, after we did all the spiritual stuff, what did we do? Play Naruto and have sex. That was it. That was it. Just think about it. That's all we resort to. We kept going back to that. And after that, we started playing the game the other way. Period. It's like, there's nothing you can say. Because the low bar, like a loading bar, is the anus. Something going into the anus. Like everything is based on what we like sexually. Period. Everything is based on what we like sexually. Period. Because a palace is a pussy. Like a kingdom is a pussy. Period. Period. It's nothing else you can do about that. You know why? Because that's what a female likes. That's why girls want you to sweep them off their feet. Like, this is not no shit that they program. This is what they actually likes. This is how they was programmed. And then Alicia's bring it out of them in a time where it's not. In a time where it's not really possible for everybody to be swept off their feet and bring it to a palace. They just had to bring that emotion out of them so they can be creative in the time that we exist in now. So they can be themselves in the physical world. To make them feel like it's possible. Because they know it's not. Everybody knows it's not. But they just want you to make it feel like, so you can go out and buy Gucci, crystal chandeliers, shit like that. Make your own palace. But in reality, you walk back out, you just in hell. Because that shit is changing us. Like if you fight, it's like we're fighting ourselves. But that's it. That's all I gotta say. Y'all be safe.